we are live.
I know we've just met and this may sound crazy, but here's my number. Call me maybe. Hello, we are Pixel Pints. We're the only podcast that talks about two things that we enjoy, which is good beer and video games. We're not here to promote drinking. Please drink responsibly. Any beers or breweries or Taylor Swift that we may be talking about aren't sponsoring us.
You know that's not Taylor Swift, right?
Is it not? I don't know.
It's Carly Rae Jepsen.
Whatever. Shit pop song. I assume it's Taylor Swift.
A pretty good pop song, though, isn't it? Hang on.
It's a bit of an earworm, yeah.
Catchy,
That's exactly what I was going to say. It's an earworm.
It's one that got worse when the Olympics decided to make it a thing.
I remember it from the episode of The Good Wife.
Okay.
Where the quirky lawyer said, "This is a song, right?" And they says, "Yeah, from a few years ago." So I remember it from a TV show, not because of the actual song. You can find us on social media at Pixel_Points on Twitter and at PixelPointsPod on Instagram. You will find nearly all of our shows archived on our YouTube channel. Just go to youtube.com and search for Pixel Pints. Right, quickly go around the room. Liam, how's things with you?
I'm well, having a good time, playing games, chilling. Got 2 weeks off now, so I'm happy.
Have you got your sofa replaced yet?
No, I haven't. I'm still dealing with the people across the pond in China. And honestly, I don't think I'm getting the other half of that sofa. So, I put it behind like a chest of drawer like the other day, so it's out of the way because it just staying in the middle of my living room is really pissing me off. So that's done. Not thinking about it apart from right now.
So just for a lesson for people, be careful when you spot a deal online.
Yeah,
it may not be as good as you might think. Mikey, how are things in Pennsylvania?
Overall, pretty good. Been having a bit of a head cold and repeated cases of poison ivy from doing too much yard work. But other than that, everything's been actually really nice here. The weather's been... So that's why I've been out doing a whole bunch of yard work, because it's be a crime not to.
What do you do with your poison ivy? Do you use it to poison people, or do you just...
No.
Why do you grow so much of it? That would be a bit silly.
No, I
Anyway,
actively tried to obfuscate it, to crush it and get it out of my life, but...
Well, just as long as it's not Japanese knotweed. I could tell you why I know far too much about Japanese knotweed, but it would be really boring. Mitch, how are things in LA?
LA is good. Busy. Tired. But what else is new?
I heard a rumor that later on today you're going to be playing nude beach volleyball with a load of other developers from different studios around LA. Is that something that regularly happens? And when do the police get involved to shut these kinds of...
Actually, no, we all just get in a corner and we play Dead or Alive 4.
Although that doesn't sound nearly as homoerotic. It's a little bit disappointing.
And do you pretend do you like hold a shaky cam off its end and pretend that it's you guys who's actually playing, or...
Nah, just play Dead or Alive 4. Just so you know, gotta make sure we get those real-time boob physics working out right.
That's like extra real time. Like, it's more than real time. It's like super time.
Yeah. So going back to Yakuza 0, I was just happened to be looking around the map because I couldn't figure out where the fuck to go again, and it said you can watch erotic videos here. I was thinking, what?
Checks to make sure Mrs. McWomble isn't in the room.
It doesn't matter because I will never go there.
I'd be curious to know what even
I highly recommend you go in that room. It's quite funny.
I'm absolutely critical pathing the entire thing. Couldn't care less about doing anything. All I want is the achievement at the end to say I've completed the story, and then I can send it to Evan, Matt, and say, there you go. But if we want to do a very, very quick, no, I'll save it for the actual topic of the show. Mitch, are you ready to transition? And we'll do some beer talk.
And star swipe and
Yes, and just animations from PowerPoint. So what have I got today? I picked up from Ansbach and Hobday the Ordinary Bitter. So this is, it's not particularly strong. It's 3.7% ABV, but I really like the beers from Ansbach and Hobday, and they've started doing this thing where they go to Dublin and troll people who drink Guinness, because they do a similar style stout and they think it's better. So they've been trying to get people to blind taste their stout as opposed to Guinness. But one thing I do like about their cans is they've got a little pigeon with a bowler hat on it.
that is top notch.
But yeah, it is just basically a proper, what I would call a proper bitter.
Nice.
Really malty, not particularly hoppy at all. And then what I've got is presumably what they have in the fridges on the Milano and in Nowhere for the Guardians of the Galaxy to drink, which is Beer Ton Mixtape.
Nice.
Which is a session IPA, which came out really heavily carbonated. I mean, 3/4 of the glass was head at one point. But this is that's so much more fruity. But I just fancied changing up because I've been drinking too many IPAs, Pilsners and lagers recently. So I thought I'd have something a bit richer in flavour and get a proper bitter. It looks like Liam's drinking out of a jam jar.
Liquid jam.
Tea.
Tea out of a jam jar.
Very potent tea. I'm detoxifying, Keith. I'm detoxifying.
You know,
Which might be impossible for me, quite frankly, but you know, we'll try.
you know, the best way to detox is just drink lots of water and don't drink any alcohol or caffeine.
Well, I'm pretty much okay in that regard.
Yeah. That's the best way to detox. So cut down on your red meat and seafood intake. Don't drink any alcohol.
Absolutely unacceptable. No, can't do that.
And then cut out alcohol and caffeine, and you'll detox.
Can do that.
So you don't need any of these mocha, coffee, enema things to try and detox. It's all bollocks.
You know, I'm a very anti-millennial person, but I tried avocado toast the other day and thought, this is pretty good.
I thought you were going to say I'm a very anti-millennial person, but I had an enema the other day.
I was gonna say there's a cool little like breakfast brunch place near my apartment that serves actually really good like avocado toast, but like it's because they have their own spread underneath the avocado that's like a garlic, nice good garlic butter. Oh, it's so good.
That sounds nice.
And let's just say for the price you pay, they don't gyp you on avocado. They give you a shit ton of avocado, and I'm like, I appreciate that.
At least you're in a country where you can actually grow them.
Also, Mikey, I like how your daughter comes for just beer talk. It's like she knew beer talk was happening, and she just pops in.
Then gets bored enough and leaves.
She's like, beer talk's over. Oh,
and now she's back.
oh, means we have to keep talking about beer.
Well,
Just kidding.
Okay, all right, fine. Here we go. I found these at my local brewery. Not local brewery, my local distributor. Outlaw Mile High Light Beer. And I bought it
I almost want
And
you
I
to say
bought it.
brewery because distributor made it sound like it was a drug dealer.
My brew distributor, my brew distributor. I got them because I have friends and family that come over who want a beer, who don't appreciate the good beers I have, so I don't want to give them a good beer. But I also refuse to actually purchase something like a Busch Light or anything like that to keep in my house. So I saw these Outlaw Mile High Beer. They have like logos everywhere. Let's see, Daredevil since 1859. Enjoy the cold. Punch the pickaxe. Just all these different things, and it was $13 for a case, and it is absolutely unoffensive. That is the best thing I can say about it. It is unoffensive. Like, it punches neither above nor below its weight class of intended. And I'm glad to be able to give these to other people.
So now, if anyone visits Mikey and he breaks out the Outlaws, he doesn't think you're worthy of the good beer.
The gradient will be from Outlaw beer up to Abalor 12 year. How much I like you.
Right. Has anyone got anything else? Mitch, you on the sugar-free Red Bull?
Yep, just today. I'm trying to like. I'm like, oh my god. Just like opening her mouth. Anyway, basically, I'm trying to like, because I wake up so early now to go work out. I try to like have a caffeinated beverage before I get there, just so I try to wake myself up. But I'm trying to. I think I'm gonna do it one more week, and then after that, I'm gonna try to go without the caffeinated beverage and see if my body can have enough energy to work out in the morning. So
it will do. You just need to get into the routine of doing it, and your body will adjust.
That's why I was hoping the caffeine would help me to adjust, and then I can start getting off the caffeine in the morning and just have it in the afternoon when I get tired.
Yeah, because you can actually train your body to work on a 26-hour day if you want.
But I don't. I don't work 26 hours. Let me make that clear. I'm not working 26 hours a day.
No, that's just normal crunch time at Naughty Dog, isn't it? Oh.
We have to take power naps, Mitch. Power naps. Very good thing.
I am not working that much. I am working a simple 8-hour day, 40 hours a week. I promise.
You could go like the Royal Navy, 4 hours on, 4 hours off, watch and watch.
Right, enough of that. Shall we talk about our anticipation for not the summer of gaming? What is this thing overall meant to be now? Because we've got no E3, we've got Jeff Keighley Summer. Yeah. Is it still called Summer Game Fest?
Summer Game Fest.
It will. Yep.
I find that less and less interesting each year it's on.
I find it more interesting just because he gets more exclusives as of late.
But one thing that I have seen recently, Mitch, I'm sure you will be paying a keen eye on the advertising for Starfield, because adverts have started appearing on YouTube, and I even saw them on the side of some London buses earlier on today. So if they're paying for advertising, I'm assuming that means the game is definitely going to get released. However, they did that with Halo Infinite. So
they printed the Xbox boxes with Halo on them.
Like you could play it that day, and you can't.
Yeah. But I'd say with, I don't know, some level of certainty that you will be streaming Starfield this year. It's looking less and less likely it's going to get pushed until next year.
That's fine, as long as it's not Redfall. Oh God, I don't. Maybe Burkoff might give me some sympathy if it's as bad as Redfall, and say you don't have to play it.
I don't think it could be. On that, I was just finished off listening to the Podquisition before getting on with you guys, and apparently the mock reviewers weren't external. They did the mock reviews internally.
Oh,
no, that's not what Phil Spencer said. He said they were an external company. That like, well, mock reviewers, it's a mixed bag. It is some. I can't say this. It's not correct. Let me just tell you, there's no such thing as internal mock reviewers. It's not a legit thing.
Well, this is what Laura Dale was saying, because she said she's done mock reviews for games in the past, and it appears that they've used mock reviewers from Microsoft internally to do some of the mock reviews for Redfall.
I doubt that. I really sincerely doubt that.
Think you've got to be monumentally stupid there if you've done that.
Yeah, but I mean, technically, wouldn't that be like Bethesda? Like, we really worked on like Microsoft. You weren't the workings on, so you can be an outside party to come and look at this game. No, like no, it's wrong.
Normally, you'd get someone from a news outlet slap an NDA on them and say, do a mock review for this as of day and date.
Yeah.
I mean, would the company even hire internal mock? It seems like a waste of money, really. When you can just hire them externally when you need them.
Yeah. Well, no, but if they did do it internally and got people to mock review it who weren't actually reviewers, and potentially, what she was saying, some of the people may have even worked on the game.
That's bull. It'd be interesting. I think people are mistaking what mock reviews are for just internal evaluation.
QA.
No, not QA.
I don't think,
not even QA.
Yeah,
QA
not
doesn't review
QA.
the game. It's
This is the
evaluation.
reason I brought it up, because she is a proper video game journalist. She knows what she's doing. So her saying that they may have used people internally who aren't games journalists to do mock reviews for a game would seem monumentally stupid. If that's
Sounds
what
like
happened.
something Microsoft would do, though, right?
Well, yeah, this is what I mean.
It's something Phil Spencer would definitely want to do, right? Like, because he doesn't know what he's doing, right?
Well, he's too busy playing Vampire Survivors, apparently.
Oh no, he's too busy understanding it. He's too busy trying to not make good games because they don't help you.
Yeah. Right. With the summer game shows coming up, since we're talking about Microsoft, shall we talk about Microsoft?
Did you want to go in order, or do you want to go with Microsoft first?
I don't actually know the order. I don't remember the order of who's going first. Except I guess
Well,
it's
who's going first? It's
Well,
PlayStation. because they're going
Sony
next
goes
week.
first
we
on
should
Wednesday.
start with Microsoft, and because I think everybody's maybe not going to be as positive on Microsoft as expected. So you could go like Microsoft, Jeff Keighley, Ubisoft, PlayStation, I guess, something like that, maybe.
Nah, let's just
If
go
you're
in
going-
order. It's easier. Let's just go because
Yeah.
PlayStation happens on Wednesday. Might as well. Even though I'm not going to
Finish
say
with
anything,
Ubisoft.
I'm just going to sit here and say nothing. But it's probably better just to go in order.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm kind of hyped out. My level of hypeness for anything at the moment is so very low. Ugh.
Like, I have, to be honest, I have high hopes and for actual things that are coming out over the summer, more so than necessarily the collection of the Summer Game Fest, not E3, other stuff that's happening. Which in a way is when I get actually the best surprises. Is when I'm not sitting there like pounding my hands on a table hoping for a specific game or something, because to be honest, I don't really know of anything that I'm like that I can have any reasonable expectations. Like, I'm not getting a Half-Life 3. Like that's not popping up. I'm not getting
Now that you've said it,
I'm not getting Portal 3. I'm not getting like any of these things. And so I'm excited for kind of the pure mystery of what people want to show. Which is why I am excited for Sony, because I'm like, well, I don't really know what Sony has in the bag, like at the moment. Because a lot of their big boys and girls have already hit, like your God of Wars, your Horizons, and of course they got more stuff cooking. But like, there's stuff that eventually could pop from Naughty Dog, or like either Last of Us multiplayer related, or new IP, or nothing at all. But they'll probably do something in regards to Spider-Man, because it seems to be a very, very poorly kept secret. But they'll probably do something about that. But basically all are surprises to me, and I'm like, that's a good thing. Like I'm not holding them towards anything because I don't expect anything of them for the rest of the year.
I
Do you
think
guys have any?
we're going to see Spider-Man 2, obviously. If they don't show that, I think it would be a disservice. I think Insomniac will tease us a bit more, potentially with something to do with the Wolverine, even if it's just another teaser trailer or concept trailer. I think Mitch is going to get up on stage and show people how the adaptive controller works for PS5.
On factions.
If that doesn't happen, the whole thing's just going to go downscale quickly, in my estimation. Have you actually used that thing for your work? Can you say whether or not you've used it? Because they have announced it and it does work on games.
I cannot say.
Okay.
Yeah, it's very awesome. I can say that. Use it of how you will of that phrasing, but yeah, I can't. It's very cool.
Yeah. Other than that, I think people will do the whole Nintendo fan batshit crazy stuff like Liam always hates, and expect the next trailer for God of War 3.
Bit soon.
And I'm assuming there'll be some kind of JRPG section where Liam et al. Can kind of, shower themselves in Final Fantasy 16 glory. Just lay there.
Are any of you three actually intending to play Final Fantasy 16? Just
Oh, well, I am, of course.
okay.
That's a given.
Just
very
one.
much a given.
Me. God.
How dare you assume such a horrible thing that we would not play one of the most anticipated games of the year, and it's also looking like a fucking amazing Final Fantasy game.
Well,
It's like Miguel right now freaking out over Zelda. That'll be me in like a month and a bit.
Like if I have the time, I absolutely do want to play Final Fantasy 16 because it's, to be honest, the first Final Fantasy I've actually wanted to play. Like it has drawn me in. I don't know since when. I don't know if there's been a Final Fantasy that I actually really wanted to play. Because
it's been pretty slim pickings recently.
Yeah, I mean, I've owned, like, I did not attach anything to like the 10s or other stuff like that. Up through whatever, and 15 had no allure for me, and I bought 7. And to be honest, I still haven't finished it.
Remake or the original?
The remake. Like, it was something I remember watching my friends play growing up, like the original 7. So I have actually the only Final Fantasy game I've ever finished is Crisis Core.
I love Crisis.
It's 15.
And then that's because I borrowed a PSP and took it on vacation, and so I had a lot of time, and so I beat Crisis Core. But that's the only Final Fantasy I've ever actually finished.
Well, technically, 15 reminds me more of 13. So that's why I'm more excited about it, because I loved a lot of aspects of 13.
Yeah. It looks good. It looks good. I hope that I have time to actually play it.
I don't know if maybe they'll show like a trailer of this one. I'm not sure. Like, they've shown so much of that game, and according to their statement, don't read anything out of what I'm saying right now. According to their statement, they said they're going to show off a lot of new things rather than things we already know. Well, include some new things, I think is what their phrasing was.
You mean Sony with their
showcase
thingamajig. Showcase, thank you.
And they're going to focus on third party as well. Is what said in the statement.
No, not focus. They just said that
some surprises from third party partners or something like that.
And The only thing that would actually get me to stand up and scream would be either a Bloodborne remake or Bloodborne.
Sorry.
Um,
Sorry.
so
Didn't
why
mean
don't
to
we go around
just
the
go
room
time.
really quick without me? That's why I'm the one posing this question. I'm not going to make any bold predictions. I'm not going to comment on this event at all. What is going to be the big splash, or not the big splash? You guys already said that Spider-Man feels like it's going to be the big splash because they keep saying it's coming out at the end of this year, in Q4. But what do you think is going to be the biggest surprise from the showcase? Because the showcase is not the state of plays. The showcases usually have a big surprise somewhere. So, like, what do you think is the big surprise, or would be?
I think they're going to say that they're going to buy Square Enix and stop Square Enix from and further investing into NFTs, crypto, and all of that other bullshit that they seem obsessed with.
Jim Ryan comes on stage and just says that.
That would be amazing.
Brings the CEO of Square Enix on and pistol whips him.
Oh, no. He brings him on stage. He tells them, we bought Square Enix, turns to him and goes, "We're stopping NFTs, right?" And then makes him shake his head, yes.
And this is one of the things that I know you guys are really excited about. Final Fantasy 16. I have no affinity for the franchise.
I don't either, by the way. I have no affinity for it.
I couldn't care less.
That's the beauty, Keith. This can be your first time. Because with every entry, it's a brand new thing.
No, but then it can't be called Final Fantasy because it might as well be called Ongoing Fantasy. It's
And
like
also,
a never-ending-
some of the Final Fantasies have had multiple parts to them. So,
Yeah.
so it should be
Dirge of Cerberus.
when it's a sequel to its own, it should be the Final Fantasy.
Final Fantasy, Lightning McQueen Returns remake part 2.
Vroom,
I'm going to go a bit wild, and
Okay.
not just because Mitch is on, but I'm going to say we're going to see the first developer doc for the multiplayer game that's being made by Naughty Dog.
Factions Part 2.
Yes,
Yeah.
I think that's going to be the big surprise.
Mike?
I think there's a possibility. It might be a surprise, but not like necessarily a great surprise. But I think there's a non-zero chance they show the new SKU of the PlayStation 5 with the like attachable drive. I think there's a non-zero chance that they show that. Maybe not in person. Well, is this an in person or is it just a video?
No, it's online only.
Okay. But it's like a pre-prepped video. Okay. I think there's non-zero chance that they show that. I do think that we'll get something from Naughty Dog. It's either going to be Factions, which is kind of what people expect. Like, and they're going to have surprises for that whenever they show it, whether it's here or later down the road. Or they're going to subvert that and say like, yes, Factions, whatever is coming, but here's the thing that we're doing to take a break. Not take a break, but refresh our mind and spirits from working on Last of Us stuff, because that's kind of all they've been doing for the last several years, like via 2 and remake and all that sorts of stuff. Because I know they love their work,
I've got another bold prediction,
but
is
those are the only things that I kind of think could actually happen, as well as with kind of a blowout of Spider-Man.
they are going to show a teaser trailer for the next TV show adaptation.
Did you think about like God of War or Horizon, or which one are you thinking of?
Isn't it a Twisted Metal?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's gonna be
that. Oh God.
The only one that's filmed anything, so it can only be Twisted Metal.
Yeah, so I think they're going to do the first extended trailer for Twisted Metal, or they are going to show the sneaky side project for when they were filming the Last of Us TV show, they were secretly also filming alongside it the Days Gone TV show. So they're going to have Days Gone.
You do realise, Wonder, that they are making a Days Gone film.
Yeah, I know.
No.
Yeah, it was a simul shoot.
Yeah, so they'd film shooting The Last of Us, and they just go, right, zombies, switch over. So you're no longer mushroom zombies, you're different zombies now.
Take off the corpuscles.
Yeah. And then they just went through zombie makeup, and then they ran along as a horde, and Days Gone. It's done. It's really easy making films and TV shows and video games, so I heard.
Days done. Yeah, so.
Liam.
I guess if I had to predict anything, I think that Cory Barlog's new IP, which is basically a science fiction video game, is probably going to debut here. At least I'm kind of hoping. I think that would be a cool thing to show off.
Star of War.
I don't know. Hopefully it's something dark and cool and interesting.
What, like
Completely different from God of War. Completely different.
Not like the Callisto Protocol.
So flipping this question on its head then, and not just because Mitch can't say whether or not he's going to be there showing off how the adaptive controller works, because obviously that would be the most disappointing thing if he wasn't there doing that. What would disappoint you about this presentation? Because I can think of something that would definitely disappoint me.
I'd say if they spend way too long on random indie games, PSVR games.
There you go, PSVR 2.
Yeah.
So here's the thing. I will be disappointed either way if whatever they do with PSVR 2, because if they don't do anything, it's just showing again that Sony will not support this thing, even though it's kind of the coolest or the best one, which is why we shouldn't have faith in it and why we shouldn't buy it, and which is why it's going to die.
But that is the distinction, though. Because you want indie games to be there, you want PSVR games to be there. You just don't want to take all of the time and line.
Exactly.
Well, that's why the showcase is over an hour.
Still,
yeah. Remember
still.
Wonderbook, Mitch? I do. I remember Wonderbook.
You remember, was it Mouse 2 or whatever it's called? The one that won best VR game?
Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, but yes, so they either have to hit a sweet spot or they can't really win, because they have to show that they're supporting that system, because I want people to make more stuff for it and to support it. But I also don't want them to waste my time in like the premium showcase with PSVR 2 stuff. So, actually, here's one good surprise that they could do if they.
I think that you're about to mention what I was thinking of.
If they announce the ability to get Half-Life Alyx is coming to PSVR 2.
Yeah.
I think that'd be the biggest get.
Something along those lines, which was actually we're not going to lock the software. So we're going to open up and make it more open source so that you can use PSVR 2 with your PC. That would be a massive announcement. So people don't have to think about Oculus headsets and things like that. You can just, PSVR 2 is an amazing entry point into VR without having to spend, I don't know, multiple crap tons of money. But yeah,
I think that would be a bonkersly amazing thing, because from my perspective, Sony could not lose if they did that, because they sell more hardware. Because way more people would buy their system or would buy PSVR 2 if they could use it natively on a PC than even though they have a big install base of PS5 owners, the people who play VR, there's a bigger install base on PC.
Yep.
It would be very astute of them to do that, especially after they failed to meet sales expectations with it so far.
Do just like their games. 1 year later, PC. PSVR 2, 1 year later, PC support.
Yeah, it's one of these things during this whole section. I'm trying not to look at Mitch because I know he said one time we were talking about PlayStation. He said, "I think I'm going to shut my camera off so you can't see my facial expression." So what I'm trying to do is just not look at him.
I've been staring at him this whole time.
I've given you
Mitch-
nothing.
Mitch,
I'm
you just
literally
need to
staring
take
off at a different screen while you all are having a conversation right now.
Yeah, just take a screenshot. You just need to take a screenshot of your face like this, and then paste it over your camera, like your camera feed, until we're done talking about PlayStation.
Oh, just something like, it's
Yeah. All right.
Are we done with PlayStation?
I think we are. Let's move on so Mitch can actually talk.
I could say a few more things.
Okay.
Go for
Well,
it.
just letting you know, I have a hard
I think-
out in about half an hour, at about
Okay.
11:30 my time. So
I was just saying, I think the most exciting thing about this is not having any idea what might show up. Personally, like
Mhm.
you would hope. Like, I'm not hoping for like, say, oh, like Twisted Metal shows up or something like that. I'm more like hoping. I want them to surprise me. I want them to show something that I wasn't expecting and go, oh, that's awesome. What, they're making this new game with this developer nobody expected? Oh, that's cool. Interesting.
Yeah.
And even like the quantities that we do know about, like say Naughty Dog, for instance, like what are Naughty Dog working on other than the multiplayer game? Are they doing Last of Us 3? Are they doing a new IP? Are they doing another Uncharted game? Is there another Uncharted game with some other studio or something? Who knows?
Well, Christ, I've forgotten Mitch's boss's name.
God.
Herman Holst.
Neil Druckmann?
Neil Druckmann.
No, he's not God.
Even,
He's not God.
he's one tier below God. He's a demigod. He's he
Demigod
said
of
that
War.
he hasn't got any idea what to do for a Lost Us Part 3.
Nah, lies. He's contradicted himself multiple times on that.
Has he?
He literally said, I have an outline
Oh.
ready and done for the game like
Yeah,
2
but-
years ago. And, you know, it's...
But,
Don't believe
there's
anything he
there's
says.
there's a difference between an outline and actually having a scripted story and pre-production and anything like that. So
I wouldn't believe anything he says.
I try not to believe anything that anyone says. That's why I have no friends. Speaking of having no friends, who's next on the list? Is it Microsoft?
Summer Game Fest.
Is it? Okay. Well,
The No
Jeff
Sock
Keighley's got loads
Show.
of friends.
The No Sock Show.
We've gone from me having no friends to Jeff Keighley, who is friends with literally everyone on the planet. Mainly because he's rich enough to buy all their friendships.
But
But
mainly,
he always puts
he's
one
always in
friend
love with
above all.
Kojima. We know that.
Yeah.
We know he has one
don't-
lover, and that's Kojima.
Has he announced anything big that's going to be? Because one of the things that I forgot to mention earlier on is if this was building up to E3 right now, we would have had stuff leaked already about what's going to be shown and who's going to be there. Whereas this time around, I haven't seen any leaks about what might get shown.
Well, I guess but the element you got to think about too is like when we get to like the Game Awards, not very much of what is going to be shown at the Game Awards leaks. So like I'm not surprised. Keeley's probably has a really good. Keeley of all people probably knows how to shut that shit down. For how many years he's been doing the business and being like, these are the people I can only trust with this information. These are the people I can trust only with the trailers. And everyone else is going to be left in the dark. They just know we have a video for this amount of time and it's this long. And then we'll transition to another thing. And that's what he tells everyone else. But then only like a select crew of people know exactly which trailer goes where. Or which surprise goes where. Or which special guest goes where.
Mhm.
It's only until usually like the day before where like you have all the camera crew and then you're doing the dress rehearsal to like practice all the staging and having people come in and out is when you potentially could have a leak for Keeley. But
Yep.
I mean,
Yeah.
for,
I remember a couple of years ago when he debuted The Last of Us Part 1, and Sony leaked it themselves on their website like a few hours before the actual show.
oh yeah, last year, yes.
Yeah.
Well, he's
I remember that day very well. Let's just me showing up to work and just going, Sony posted the trailer already? What? No,
¿Qué pasa?
it came from
¿Cómo están?
inside.
Muy bien. ¿Sí?
We stabbed
So
ourselves.
what's been officially announced is that there are 40 people partnering with Summer Games Fest.
A cross-industry showcase.
No, sorry. So it's Summer Game Fest. I think if he calls it Summer Games Fest, the Olympics would sue him. Because I think they've tagged Summer Games as like trademark.
So what is the one game of the summer? That's the question we're trying to get to here.
Well, allegedly,
That we're trying to
it
fest.
could be something from Netflix because they're one of the partners. Samsung Gaming Hub is one of the partners. I'm assuming
like
that's going to be.
technically, Keighley has a bunch of partners, but they technically all don't show stuff.
Yeah,
I think he just
a
has
lot of things are
partners
going
to
to be-
show off on like commercials and things like that.
Yeah.
So like Netflix might have a commercial,
advertisements.
or even like so like just because they're a partner does not mean they're going to actually show something on stage like a game. I think they just are going to have a
Yeah, 'cause-
commercial or a sponsor.
Yeah, because one of the other like Razer, Razer is just going to be a commercial advertising partner rather than a developer who they've got on the.
You know, gamers, we like to shave.
Someone I've never heard of.
Yeah. The I think June 8th will. This isn't the Easy Allies podcast, so we're not taking bets or whatever. But what instance, if any, via either voice or visual, how many times will we get a whiff of Kyle Bossman on June 8th?
0.
Oh, Jeff Keighley will be wearing his scent. That's how many times we'll get.
I'm gonna go with 0. He wasn't there last year.
No.
Yeah, I think he only pops up at the Game Awards.
Yeah. He wasn't even at the Game Awards last year.
Yeah, he wasn't.
No, he was a voice. He was not like he did an intro for one thing, because I was like, oh, Kyle Bossman. Like I heard Kyle Bossman's voice. That was the only thing that was the last thing like for one of Jeff's things that we got to see. If it wasn't the last one, it was the previous one. We had Kyle Bossman doing like an opening announcement voice, and here is blank, and I can go pull it up for you if it's needed. But I do know that he will be there because I know he's going to be at immediately following this. He'll be at one of the
Days of Devs.
No, he will be on the Easy Allies podcast that week, so he will be in the area. So I know he's going to be in LA for Summer Game Fest. So
he just might be there for his own YouTube channel. I highly doubt he's gonna be in the Summer Game Fest, especially because it's the way that show is transformed. It's transformed much more into like a press conference presentation than a skit. And Kyle Bossman is a skit man. He's not a presentation man. And so like I don't see him being involved. He could be at the Keighley 3 days of play, which is like their like on site. Play all these demos of all these titles that we just announced at Summer Game Fest, but I don't see him ever being on stage or even in voice, because I don't even recall hearing his voice for anything except for multiple years ago.
Gotcha. Yep. Okay. Yeah. It wasn't like, oh, are we going to see him? It's just I know he still works a lot with Keighley for different things, and that he'll be in LA during the whole week of Summer Game Fest.
It's interesting this year for Summer Game Fest, only for the fact that PlayStation is actually doing a showcase over just a state of play before the summer season, because usually PlayStation does not do a showcase in the summer. They usually do it in the fall. So it is interesting to see them position themselves this way, because it actually then limits what they can do with Jeff Keighley. Like if there was a PlayStation showcase last year, I mean, I'm not going to say this verbatim, this is truth, but I would assume when we announced Last of Us Part 1 and talked about the TV show, we probably would have been at the showcase, not Keighley, right? Because there wasn't a bigger stage for that, right? So I'm seriously now a little more on the edge of like, I don't know if he's going to have a lot to show.
Yeah.
Or like what he's really going to have to show.
Was
I bet
Sony's
he'll announce a PC port of the PlayStation game then. like Ghost of
Possible.
Tsushima or something.
Well,
Yeah,
but
that's fair. Yeah, something like that.
PlayStation's less significant. I was
That'd
going to
be
say
good
because
news.
EA cancelled their
That's fair. Yeah.
presentation.
Mhm.
So
Mm. 'Cause they
Jeff
have
is going to get. Jeff has got basically all of EA's stuff. He's going to be the mouthpiece for EA, unless EA don't have anything to show.
EA has nothing. I'm just going to put it up because they just released their financial statement, and there's literally nothing coming out in this fiscal year from them.
Is it that you've got all the future stuff to look forward to then, Liam?
I mean, they could show Dragon Age or Mass Effect, but I don't think they will.
I don't think so either. I think they might show the first footage from EA Soccer Club or whatever they're calling it now.
Oh, the
possible.
football game.
Yeah,
Not FIFA.
yeah, and Madden. It's going to be the update of Madden as well because keep your major sports franchises rolling.
Well, they might just do what they've been doing the past few years rather smartly, which is just using their social media channels to advertise their games, which I think is, because it's just like nobody's tuning into Summer Games Fest except like that. They show Madden, it's just,
No, like the last thing that could have been is already out, which is Jedi Survivor. Like that caliber of game from them, and I mean, sadly they kiboshed the any kind of Alice 3. Like I enjoyed the American McGee's Alice games, but they rejected his what is it, a design doc or a playbook or whatever.
Well, he launched a Kickstarter to get people to pay him to write a design guide for a new game, which he then took to EA, and they said no.
And they said no. So he's like, all right, I'm out of games entirely. So
I mean, how fucking disingenuous is that to the people who paid you to do that?
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, pay somebody to do it.
Yeah. So other things that might get shown. I know something from Activision.
Are
they going to save it for Microsoft instead?
Probably not.
Maybe the Cyberpunk expansion?
Yes, well, CD Projekt Red is listed as one of the 40 partners, but they've already said that they're downscaling a lot of what was going to happen with Cyberpunk. So as opposed to getting
because they have 70
DLCs,
other projects they got to work on to be able to mess
they've
up.
got Phantom Liberty, which is supposed to be out soon.
Yeah,
That's the only expansion for it.
Yeah, the only story expansion.
Starring Idris Elba. Really relying on them superstars, huh? I don't know. I'm not as interested this year in the Summer Game Fest as I was before, just because of the knowledge of two of the big three are there in a hot and very much, and there's no way Nintendo's going to give anything to Keighley. They never do.
No.
So
they're listed as a partner, but that will probably be just to show adverts for Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, which probably most people who are watching would have bought already anyway.
Yep. I'm giving up an hour of playtime right now just to talk with you chaps.
Well, we thank you for doing that. I
like the bitterness in that.
All right.
I can see this being another one. Okay. Joke question for everyone. Mitch, you can get on in this as well because we're not talking about PlayStation. After Summer Games Fest, how many 100 million people is Jeff going to say watch the stream?
Ooh.
Because last time he wouldn't give out the live stream figure. He said total views of the stream was it something crazy like nearly 100 million views, but not 100 million people did not tune in live to watch that.
No.
He's going to go a little higher this year. He's going to say 150.
Yeah.
Even though it's probably not true. Just because he needs to make it sound like it's getting bigger, where maybe this year it's probably getting smaller.
150 million unique IPs interacted with the stream content at some point for some amount of time.
Yeah, for longer than 60 seconds.
Ooh, that was even more than I was giving, like more credit than I was giving.
I think Keighley actually benefits from having PlayStation go like a couple of weeks early this year. Like It's just sort of like people that don't usually tune into games related stuff, tune into Sony stuff, gets them excited, hyped
Yeah.
up, and suddenly they're paying attention when Kiwi's event comes around. And I think that might benefit them in some way.
Yeah, I don't know. Last time the first time was during lockdown, and I watched it because there was nothing else. last time, like I said to you guys, I'm getting, and I don't think it's because I'm old and I'm a cynical bastard. I just don't think there's much for me to get hyped about. And so I'll watch these things and think kind of my base level is going to be, I'll watch it, and then if I see something really excited, I probably will get really excited, because I'll be even more surprised than all of you are, because my base level of excitement will be that much lower as a starting point than all of yours.
No, I think
exactly.
I think my starting point for Summer Games Fest is actually pretty low. Actually, let's just go around the room. What is your hype level for this year's Summer Game Fest? And then like compare it to last year and just like say like, oh, like for me, like right now my hype out of 10, I'm like at a 6, maybe a 5. And like last year I was probably more on like the 7, just because, I mean, obviously I knew we were announcing something, but also like knowing that they were getting us, knew like they probably were going to have just as more interesting things, which they did. So I think my expectations is a lot lower. Actually, I'm going to stick with a 5. I'm going 5. It's just like I'm slightly thinking they might have something, but I just am not feeling it as much.
My hype level for anything in specific is at like a 3. Like I really have almost no expectations for anything specific, but in a way that puts my like surprise meter up at like a 7 or 8, because I'm like, I'm willing to be pleased. If nothing happens, I'm fine. So I'm like, my actual expectations are about a 3, because there are so many things that have been coming to fruition for 2023 because of delays of 2021, 2022, etc. Like you're getting, for crying out loud, you're getting a Mortal Kombat and a Street Fighter. We're getting Armored Core in June. We've already gotten Zelda. We've already gotten all these different things. Like, it's to actually be a gamer, this year's already great. It's hard to like, when the year is bad, you expect more of like an event like this to try and give you hope for the future. But this year's been pretty good. Like, this year's been pretty good for a lot of different people. So the only thing that, to be honest, like even if I'm not gonna play it that much, I'm just really interested in if whether or not Xbox will do anything Silksong related. Like that I think would be the one surprise that would be like, oh, you got me, because like they've been futzing about with that for so much. But yeah, to answer your question, I think my actual excitement's about like maybe a 3, but I'm willing to be pleased.
I'd say I'm like a 6 or a 7 for Kiwi's show. Mainly because there's just so much gestating right now. Like there's loads of things out there that need to be announced, and they're just sort of sitting, waiting there for them. It's kind of weird, like not knowing, because like games projects just take so long to be developed these days, so you don't really have any good clue when something's going to come out. I have a feeling Take-Two will be there though with something big, and I'm not talking like Grand Theft Auto or anything like that, but they do have a lot of big projects that they are just sort of waiting to show, and I'm interested, especially given that E3 getting cancelled, probably for good, might divert a lot of attention over to Kiwi's show, and also coming off of the last Game Awards, I feel pretty positively about him, because I thought the last show that they had was probably the best one that he did. So yeah, like a 6 or a 7. Always down with low expectations, because then you won't be disappointed.
4. I'll split the difference between Mikey and Mitch. I was thinking in my head, if 0 is I'm not going to watch it. Okay, this depends on what time it streams in the UK. Because if it starts at 10 o'clock, if it starts at 10 o'clock at night, it's a 0, and I'll watch it the next day.
Sony's a 0.
Well, that's
Day of
that's
the-
9 that's 9
Day of the
9 p.m.
Day of the devs. you
Oh, is
mean.
it? Oh, okay. I thought it
Yeah,
was 10.
9 p.m. BST. So I'll be watching Sony's.
Just weekend. Just weekend.
I was just looking at the dates, and it looks like I'm actually going to be away for the Xbox One.
Speaking of Xbox, let's talk about it.
We're skipping over Day of the Devs. That's fine.
Yes, and Future Game Show.
Well,
It's not even on the list.
And Netflix like week games, whatever.
pointless.
So one thing that they've showed some stuff on it before, and I'm guessing that there'll be more coming. I want to see a little bit more about the episodic Star Trek game, and I'm guessing that's going to be at Summer Game Fest rather than anywhere else. So I want to see stuff about that. That will push me up from a 4 to over a 4. And maybe a 4.2. See how the rest of the showcase goes. Right. Xbox. Mitch, you love an Xbox. I've heard.
I have no expectations for this. My level's at like a 2. I honestly really don't. Like they could show me the coolest thing I've ever seen in my life. I don't believe them. Like they are a company that has failed in execution so many times on big budget games that like they show you something and then you're like, oh, that's so exciting, and it's like just a logo or a CG trailer, and
like,
like to be
I
honest,
doubt we'll get 2 Hi-Fi Rushes in 1 year.
And Hi-Fi Rush isn't even a great game. It's just a good game. Like it's not.
Yeah, that's an important bar that Microsoft has been failing to hit.
But people are giving them so much credit for just a good game, and I think that's bullshit.
Well, and also all they did was went to Tokyo Gameworks and said, "If you got any games, we'll buy it. We don't care. It's Hi-Fi Rush. Well, it's a rhythm game. It's cel-shaded.
Gameworks.
Yeah, we'll buy it. We need something."
I'm just. I mean, Big Phil said it himself. He basically just said, "You can't believe the words that come out of my mouth. We have to prove it to you." Well, like this is another time for you to talk more out of your ass to like say you're making good games, and I just don't believe you.
I'm trying to put the whole sort of I guess brand problems out of the way for the time being. I'm trying to not think about it too much because I mean I enjoy these shows just for the sort of presentation part of it. You know how much I'm impressed by what they show, how they pace the shows, and I think they have a lot of good stuff to do, like to show. And to a certain degree, I do think, while I think Xbox are doing a terrible job right now, I do think there are a few things that will probably be successful, regardless of of Xbox and the way they manage things. Like things from Obsidian, I expect them to probably be self-managing most of their projects, and I expect they'll be good games. So I'm excited to see Avowed, and I'm excited to see.
You're not going to see Avowed. Like you're going to see Outer Worlds 2 before you're ever going to see Avowed. Because you're going to see Outer Worlds 2 before you see Avowed.
No, we're not, because Outer Worlds 2 is further away than Avowed.
They announced Outer Worlds 2 first, though.
No, they didn't. They announced Avowed first.
Well, just as a teaser concept trailer.
And they literally announced the Outer Worlds 2 and made a joke in the trailer for which they announced it that is clearly far, far away, which I thought was really kind of funny, but at the same time, it's like, then why did you do it?
Well, they did it on purpose to mock people releasing stuff. So, okay, show me Hellblade 2 and give me a goddamn release date.
Yeah, hopefully that's this year, because Xbox really needs to pick up the pace with their output. You know, it's just There needs to be some hope at the end of the year. When you look back on the year and you look at the mess that happened in the middle of the year, you say, oh, they released 2 good games, so I feel a bit better about them. Or else their sales are going to suffer.
That's actually kind of the possible surprise there, is because Starfield has its own direct, meaning it's kind of an open slate for what they actually do in the showcase. So they could throw some surprises, but exactly like Mitch said, all of Microsoft's surprises are weighted down with giant millstones of blocks of salt, waiting for them to actually either release or to release and actually be good.
Also, what surprises? They announced every AAA game they're working on basically for the next 7,000 years, basically.
They haven't, because they bought so much. Not even close. Like, there's a lot of stuff gestating in its
smaller titles, probably like a Hi-Fi Rush or a
Compulsion Games project. Like, in fairness to them, Mitch, they do still have a lot to show. We're all skeptical of what the quality will be when all of these projects release. But in fairness to them, they do have a lot. And that's the concerning part, because it's like, do they have too much? Are they just buying things and hoping something sticks to the wall?
Yes.
Yeah, but that's the problem. But they definitely have stuff to show.
That's some very weird metaphors to mix, because they're basically buying lumps of shit and throwing it at a wall.
Well, they're buying the stuff that's pretty good and hoping it will. Because it's like, are they going to ruin? Are they going to ruin the things that they bought?
They ruined.
Actually, a better metaphor. Here you
Did
go.
they though?
No, here's a better metaphor. You buy a fresh apple, and they just let it sit too long where it got moldy. So when they threw it to someone to try to feed it to them, all of a sudden they've realized it's going to make them sick.
It's too early to use that analogy, personally, to me.
What I would ask you all is, if we've got a Xbox Game Showcase directly followed by a Starfield Direct, wonder where they got the name for a Starfield Direct from. How long do you think both of those things are going to be?
I think they're
Well, okay. So let me do one more thing about this showcase type thing. Like,
I'm out in 5.
Last year, this company, Xbox, in a showcase, decided that Persona coming to Game Pass was enough to be a big announcement.
It was a big announcement, Mitch.
It's not. It's not.
Yeah, it is. It is a big announcement. It's an announcement of a franchise that people love is coming to their platform for the first time.
It's like when
games that are like
Final
10
Fantasy
years old
came to Xbox.
But that's still a big deal, Mitch.
No, it's not. It's not enough for. It's not big enough for a showcase. You don't see Sony doing that on a showcase, do you?
I don't. They show tons of indie games and expect you to clap. Like, come on, this is an unnecessary and unfair thing to point out.
Persona's not an indie game.
Yeah,
you're comparing apples to oranges.
It's a bigger game than an indie game, Mitch. Like, there's games that people love and appreciate.
What about Final Fantasy coming to Xbox? That's a big deal. That hadn't been on Xbox.
Yeah, that was a huge deal.
I don't see it as a big deal.
If one of us aren't particularly interested in it, you can't deny that it's a big announcement because of the cachet that franchise has.
Yeah,
whether it makes a difference in the long term is another question entirely, but it's still a nice announcement to have.
Like
on your showcase?
To play
no, not on your showcase. I'm not denying that it's a good get for them. I'm not denying that at all. I'm denying the fact that
it's worth showing at a showcase. If it's not
showcase. It's not a showcase worthy announcement. Are you
kidding
me?
It's
when you have nothing to show and you want to be able to fill some space. That's what it is.
I disagree. I disagree entirely.
Yeah, but
I think that's just being hard on them unnecessarily.
Do you think we'll actually see, because they're of the like these games will be out in 12 months announcement of last year? Are there any of those left?
Well, they didn't fall through on that one because none of them came out in 12 months.
Well, that's like saying Plexico. That's like asking Plexico Burris, is that gun in your trousers loaded and cocked, and then shoot yourself in the leg.
That's nice. That's a good one.
That was daft. fuck me, I don't have anywhere near the level of experience in working on game development. But if anyone had given me a controller and let me play Redfall, I could have told them this game needs more work. So I don't understand how you could have just sat back and said, yeah, this game's going to be released it's going to be one of our Game Pass exclusive. Please be looking forward to games. What the hell are they doing? I mean, literally, Microsoft are burning all of their goodwill faster than billionaires can burn money by launching rockets into space for no fucking reason.
I think I've picked on Microsoft enough, and I'm trying to have a bit more of a hopeful outlook.
I've had 2 weeks of bitching about Microsoft, and they are seriously eating away any goodwill that I have towards them.
Isn't that what this presentation is for? It's supposed
Yes,
to
exactly.
give you a little bit of goodwill and hopefully push you over to the edge when Starfield comes out, and hopefully that doesn't take away any more goodwill.
Yeah.
There's one thing that Xbox could bring out at their showcase that I would actually really enjoy is Stalker 2, if they did anything regarding Stalker 2.
Well, I think there's some value in the Xbox presentation specifically just for third-party games. Like, there's loads of stuff I'll be excited about that has nothing to do with Xbox, but will just be there.
Exactly.
Like, hopefully, Persona 3 Remake, fingers crossed. I'd be very excited about.
What would get me really excited? I don't know. The Telltale Expanse game is going to be on Game Pass, which they haven't confirmed, or they've confirmed the release date. If someone says, yeah, that's coming to Game Pass, I will be hyped. Similarly with the episodic Star Trek game, if they said that's going to be launch Game Pass, thank you very much. I will lap that up as well. But I don't know, is there really... I'm racking my brains, other than say, right, Hellblade 2 releasing this year, and it's going to come, I don't know, 3 months after Starfield launches or something like that, so that they don't, not that they care about cannibalizing sales anymore. It's all about getting the subscriber base back up. But then they made the changes to the subscription model that means you can... Game Pass Ultimate is the only scheme that you can get unless you want to sign into your Microsoft account and change it online.
I don't think Hellblade is coming this year, and I only say that because
probably not.
Phil Spencer himself said that. Phil restated the statement of we have one game a quarter. If Starfield is coming out in where it's coming, then that's the quarter. So maybe early 2023, and then get pushed to maybe mid 2023 or end of 2023.
I can make a bold prediction right now. I personally do think the Hellblade 2 is coming out in November. They'll call me out on it when I'm wrong. Feel free.
Yeah, I think you're dead wrong. But
this is the thing: is that they're saying we want to have one big game a quarter.
No, they didn't say big game. They just said a game a quarter because they said it might be smaller titles, but like first party games a quarter.
Like he did sort of hint towards it being big games, and then he said just smaller games to fill out the catalog where we failed to meet that criteria.
Yeah, like replaced. I'm still waiting for that. That's like that and Stalker 2 are the two like of the like next 12 months games that I'm like, I really want these games.
Well, he counted Hi-Fi Rush and Pentiment as titles that counted.
Yeah.
Well, he didn't,
game a quarter.
Because he regarded them to have failed to have met that criteria for the past few months or for the past couple of years.
That's not what he said in the interview, though.
Well, he did. Like, because he said going forwards. I think
because everything he's ever said has been always consistent all the time.
Yeah, the impetus there is that they failed to do what he said they would do.
Yeah, I think the thing for me is when it comes to anything that they announce is, do I believe you? Now, and this is what I mean about burning away goodwill. Is okay, Jim Ryan could start the Sony press conference and say, so showcase. Sorry, get my fucking terminology right. Otherwise, some Sony fanboys will be after me. I'm looking at two of them. Kind of okay, 2.5 because Mikey owns a PC as well.
And a Switch.
I do when Sony announce something, I do trust that it's going to come out when they say that it will and be of a certain level of quality. That
or a potential slight delay, but like it still will match the quality of what they were looking for, right?
Yeah. But what I distrust about Sony is their corporate view of their customer base, where it's kind of it's almost just like, hello cash cows, I'm here to milk you fuckers. It's a bit like Nintendo in that sense, whereas I think Xbox were looking more at building a sense of goodwill up. Here's Game Pass, here's the thing that you can't possibly do without. Here's a load of titles of games that you can play for a low monthly cost, and you can get all of Microsoft's first party available too. But your first party sucks balls, mate.
I like how that's secondary. Like you said, what you just said in your statement. You're just like, you can play all these great titles and first-party Microsoft titles. You should be leading with that. It's like Game Pass. You can play Microsoft first-party titles and all these other great, all the other titles. But it's not that way.
That's not how it was pitched. It was pitched around the other way.
Exactly.
Here's this massive catalogue of games, plus you can play all of Microsoft's first-party titles day one. We just haven't figured out what day one looks like and what the game will look like when it comes out on day one, other than Forza.
All right, guys, I gotta bounce.
Everybody bounce. Right, cheers, Mikey.
Bye, Mikey.
All right, have a good night, guys.
So I don't know. I'm really conflicted about Microsoft because they could show, if they showed a developer walkthrough of Avowed and say this is what this is going to look like. What's that new first-person shooter that's coming out? It's made by the East European developer. It's kind of like a fantasy doomish thing. That was really cool.
The Immortals of the something.
Yeah,
something beginning with A, Avenir or something.
Yeah, if they said coming to Game Pass, I'd be like, yes, please, I'm having some of that. So there are certain third-party things that if they've been doing deals behind the scenes, I could get excited about. But I don't know,
but even they announced they're saying they're having difficulties trying to get third-party exclusives.
Yeah, but it doesn't have to be exclusive. It just has to be coming to Game Pass.
Yeah, what he meant by that was actual exclusives, like games that are exclusive for their platform for 6 months to a year or permanently. That doesn't necessarily mean that you can't get games that, come to all platforms, but are on Game Pass day one. Sure. Yeah.
So they've got an opportunity here to take a swing and hit big. I just don't trust them to do it.
I think they're more likely to strike out, if anything, using your analogy.
I think the more likely thing that they'll do is they'll bunt.
No, not bunt. They'll get hit and be able to jog to the next base because people are going to forgive them a little bit more because they're like, oh, but it's coming to Game Pass though, so I guess they can have the man on base.
Yeah, and this is.
Can I also point out that as much as we like to go on about Xboxes not releasing quality games, the problem has been releasing. Like, when are these games coming out? They just don't release anything. It's like Halo Infinite was a mess, but there was still a good game underneath that, but it just wasn't the product that they need. There is. If you play the multiplayer, just the way that game works is perfection. Like, it feels like Halo 3. It feels great.
Yeah, I didn't play the multiplayer. I would disagree with you that Halo Infinite was a mess. I'd just say Halo 3's open world was
underwhelming, isn't it? yeah, that's true too.
I
Yeah.
mean, I would just
To
say
say it's
Halo
broken
was
is a bit too
incomplete, if anything. It was lacking of what it was
Yeah.
supposed to have, but it didn't have it because they had to release it sooner than they wanted to. But that's just
Mm.
because of peer pressure, like to
But
put the title out.
Halo was symptomatic of 343 shitting the bed every time they had to release a Halo game. I hate Halo 4. I hate it with a passion. Halo 5, I haven't played it. I know that's a mess as well. And Halo Infinite uses this brand new engine and tries to do all of these things. They rebooted the project multiple times. It was a mess.
But that's
But
more of an
when you look
argument to
outside,
stop them.
no. But my point is, when you look outside of Halo and you look outside of Redfall and you look at everything else they've released pretty quality games that don't have bugs. You know, we're talking like Age of Empires, we're talking Forza, we're talking Gears of War. That's not the output we should expect from them, and it isn't. But other than these two big issues, like, we don't know what the quality of their games going forwards is going to be. So I don't want to throw them completely under the bus just yet, because we don't know. It's just our confidence that they will deliver is just going down. But they still have the great potential to release some quality games.
Phil wouldn't notice if you threw him under a bus because he'd be too busy playing Vampire Survivor on mobile.
I mean, to be honest, dear, like, I get where you're saying, in like being like, hey, like, you know, there's so much potential here. Someone can have the greatest potential in the world, but not be able to meet their true potential.
Yeah, but we already know that.
Through what they
we
do.
already know that.
And
The
so,
point
like,
is, I don't want to be negative towards them anymore. We don't know what's going to happen. I would like to give them the benefit of the doubt to a certain degree,
see,
and
that's,
hope that they can do that.
I mean, you could do that, but
Especially
to be
because
honest,
they've
I've been
been
giving them the
taught a big
benefit of the
lesson
doubt
this
for
summer.
like 6 years, and they have not done anything to really convince me that I should give them more of the benefit of the doubt. I think that's the problem here. And like, I think I get where you're coming from, Liam, and I know you're more lenient about it.
It was 6 years ago that they started first making big purchases. You know, because before then they had nothing. They had the Halo studio, they had the Gears studio, they had Forza, and that was pretty much it.
I get it.
And then they started purchasing a bunch of stuff. We're still waiting for those purchases to show what they could accomplish with those purchases. You know, we're waiting. We can't really comment because they haven't released anything yet.
I mean, but
which
that's
is a problem in of itself.
Thank you.
It is, but
It's
games
6
also
years.
take a long
Like,
time
you can
to
make a game in
develop
6
these
years. You can make a title in 6 years. It is not that
No,
difficult
but,
to do
like,
so.
What did they buy first in 2016?
It
A lot
doesn't-
of those, like a lot of those studios were already working on games for other companies, like Ninja Theory, like Obsidian, you know. And you know, if Avowed comes out next year, it will have been 5 years. I think that game has been in development for since 2017. And if you're looking at that from the perspective, 5 years is a pretty good time for a game to be in development, especially a game of that size and scale. You know, an RPG like The Elder Scrolls or something like that. But, you know, I would like to take a step to just wait and see a little bit more. You know, because we've ragged on them enough.
So I'm going to throw out a prediction then. I'll throw out a few predictions. One is that they will split the presentation into, so if it's 90 minutes overall, they will do 50 minutes for Xbox. They will do half an hour for Starfield, and the remainder of the time is Todd Howard talking bollocks.
And when you say Xbox, do you just mean Xbox first party, or how much do you expect that to be actual first party games?
I don't expect there to be much first party. I expect there to be a lot of third party. I expect a lot of this game is going to be coming to Game Pass, but they're not making it. But my other bold prediction is that Avowed is coming in a year's time. So the date that Starfield launches is going to be a similar window to when Avowed comes out. So that you've got your big sci-fi RPG, and then a year later you're going to have your big fantasy RPG.
Yeah.
And in between, at some point, you'll get your single-player, story-driven, cinematic type game in Senua's Saga.
I mean, I really want to. Hopefully, they have something better from Hellblade. I really want to see something compelling from them. Like, to be honest, the trailer, I keep watching it over and over again, and it's just no context, confusing, uncompelling to me. I don't think it's at all interesting compared to the original title. So I'm nervous about
I
Hellblade.
think how do you show a game like Hellblade on that stage? How do you?
It's really challenging.
Well,
they just show the slice of their game that looks good. You know.
I think you can. I mean, the tricky part is I don't know what the game is, so I can't answer that question for you. It's them to answer the question for me. And so if they're not going to be able to do it, that's on them. That's not on me to tell them how to do it, because
Mitch,
it's a disingenuous question to say how would they do it, and I don't know what the game is, to be honest. And the fact that I don't know what the game is makes it even more of a question.
We do this all the time. We make up shit all the time about how we might think something might do something.
Sure.
That's some expert question dodging by putting it back onto Liam. By the way, have you been watching? Have you been watching some politicians dodge questions recently? Because that's a great one.
Sorry, I've been watching a lot of Republicans as of late. No, I'm just what I would love from them is like that trailer they showed to me gave me nothing of interest or of like what is going on. It very much just only had questions and no answers, and nothing of questioning for me that I feel like I could find answers to, or feel like I would understand answers to. I understand it's the first trailer, but that's their choice. This is what they decided to put out.
Trailer, or you were talking about the slice of gameplay?
Slice of gameplay.
They showed?
Yeah.
Okay. In which case, if you were just talking about the trailer, I would agree. However, that slice of gameplay, I feel like you're being hypercritical.
I'm being hypercritical because I really love the first title, and I was a little disappointed on how.
That's the thing. Is the difference between this game and most others? Like, say if you're showing a new IP, you have to show a little bit. What is this? What does it do? You know, you've already played Hellblade 1, and you have a good idea of what the project could be like. They're just showing you, oh, look at the graphics in this. This is a much bigger game, has more money, obviously, going through it, you know. And then the game isn't released yet. They still have time to show you all kinds of stuff with the game and why you should buy it over the first game.
And that's why
but the principle of making a sequel is anybody that liked the first game would be interested in the second game. So you don't have to really push, you know, the boat out that much.
Well, that's why I said I hope they have a more compelling trailer. That's all. That's all I'm saying. Like, hopefully they have something more compelling that's going to make me more interested in the title. Because right now I am worried for the title more than just worried in regards to like I don't want to buy it, which makes me feel bad because I actually would want to buy it if it's a good title. So like hopefully they have something. Like that's all I care about, right? Like again, all I want is these titles to be good.
This is why I think it's going to be a mix of stuff, which is I'd say probably 2/3 third party coming to Game Pass at some point. And then the other third is going to be here's the Game Pass. I'm even confusing myself. The Xbox first party stuff, and when it might be available, even if it's just on a Q4, Q1 next year. And then they'll get onto, and then Todd Howard will show up and lie about Starfield.
Yeah. I'm just in the end, what's my hype level? A 4. Like I like, and I know you said your thing, Liam, but for me my good graces are gone. So like I'm done with the showing of things. I just want to play the things and have them be good. And you can show me all you want, but like I don't believe you anymore, to be honest.
Show me once, shame on you. Show me the same thing twice. Shame on.
I mean, this is the same. This is the same company, and this is kind of my final thought. This is the same company that decided to be the final thing to show in a showcase is Redfall, and then look what we got. That was their decision to do that. They didn't have to put Redfall last on their showcase multiple years ago, but they chose to do it, and then this is what they give us. If good graces are gone.
If we're going to do hype levels, I'm as excited for this as I could possibly be. So I'm going to start at a 5. And the reason that I'm going to start at a 5 is because there are certain things that they could show and say, this is kind of, like I've said, Telltale at the Expanse game, if they say that's coming to Game Pass, thank you very much. The other Telltale studio, who's not Telltale anymore, making the Star Trek game, if they say that's coming to Game Pass, thank you very much. But this is the showcase where they've got the biggest opportunity to make me feel shit. So obviously I've got no investment in PlayStation at the moment. At some point I'm going to get a PS5. I can't afford it because I need to spend money on glasses and the dentist. So my PS5 fund was gradually creeping up and then shot way down. So I know what to expect from PlayStation. I'm currently bemused as to what I might get from Xbox. But if they start saying that there's some games that I am actually looking forward to coming out this year, and they say I can play this on Game Pass, thank you very much, I will take that, Mr. Phil. Thank you, Mr. Phil, sir, can I have another? But if that doesn't happen, they don't show anything first party that's going to be of interest to me, and then if Todd shows up and Starfield is boring, I can see that 5 going down to 1 pretty damn quick.
They're basically on a very tight rope for you, is what you're trying to say.
Well, I'm going to start higher, but they've got a greater chance of going down quicker.
Gotcha.
Liam.
Well, I think this recent controversy is going to be a big impetus to show their hand. I think Microsoft have made a lot of mistakes over the years, but I still think they have enough self-awareness to realise when they're really fucking things up. And
after 9 years of Phil Spencer, you think so?
Yes, I do.
Give him a lot of credit.
Well, he wouldn't if he didn't own that, he wouldn't have done that Xcast interview.
Yeah.
And okay, yeah, they weren't really as hard on him as they possibly could be, but he had no reason to show up and do that.
Yeah, I think Phil, more than anything, he's honest, and I think you should realise that with all of the things going on, he's managing. You know, he's got to be managing Bethesda. He's got to be managing Xbox internally. He's got to be dealing with the CMA and FTC shit on the side. And he's probably got to be talking to third-party developers and making deals with them and talking to them and seeing, probably, they're probably in early development on the next Xbox console, to a certain degree. He's a man with a lot of things going on, and he's about to get more full hands if the purchase of Activision Blizzard goes through. And it's just like, if you can't manage all of that, Phil, either you get out of the kitchen or you hire some more people that can do those things for you. But getting away from that, like I think their pressure's on them now. Like they've got a lot of things that they need to correct. They've got a lot to show. I think they've got a lot to prove, and I'm excited for it. If just from a third party perspective, because I think there'll be loads of interesting games there. And I do still have some hope for the future. I do think, even if things don't go well, I think Phil will eventually get fired. And then there's still a lot of talent there. There'll be somebody that could come in and course correct for them. I don't think it's the end of the world with this Redfall business, because quite frankly, I don't think Phil's eye was ever on the ball with that.
I don't think Redfall isn't a big enough game for them to have shit the bed on and that be the end of it.
Exactly. I mean, I've been listening to some people talking about it, like some of the stuff going on internally at Arcane Austin, and apparently most of the developers knew that game. Like they like to say, but the developers knew that game was a piece of shit, and they were happy to release it. And I think that's a shame, because they're all so focused on another project that's going on within the studio and don't seem to really care about releasing a half-baked piece of shit. You know,
Yeah,
so
but then
I don't know.
that's when your parent company should step in and say, this game isn't good enough.
Exactly, but it is the way it is, I guess.
And I know people can say is it like Kwasi Kwarteng not apologising for tanking the economy within his mini budget that meant the British economy tanked by £30 billion, and him saying, would you like to do you regret making that decision? He said that was then, this is now, we need to move on. It doesn't, yes, that's the case, but it doesn't mean it's not shit. And that's how I kind of feel with how Microsoft is managing, or Xbox is managing its studios at the moment. It's kind of, I don't know if I need to go to some kind of self-corrective class, but I feel like I'm getting more towards Mitch's point of view more and more, and that worries me significantly.
Well, that's
I've
been
been
me
worried
over the
for
past
years,
year,
Keith.
generally.
I've been worried for years. I don't want to be in this place.
Oh no, I don't.
They
I
put
don't mean
me
just
there.
about this.
They
I mean
took
on
me
other things as
and
well.
put me in this corner that I need to stand in because I need to advocate for better, and I can't. And people are saying, "No, that's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Oh, they just tripped here. They tripped there." And it's like, no, they're messing up badly. Fix it, please. Because I want to play good games. That's all I care about. I don't care who you are. I don't care if you're Ubisoft, whatever. Make good games. That's all I fucking care about.
Should we cover Ubisoft very quickly?
I
Okay.
just say that at the end of the day, even though I'm losing faith in Microsoft every day, I still have a lot of faith in a lot of the studios they own to put out something good. I think that still means something.
I mean, you can have faith in the studios all you want, but if there's no management, things can go wrong very quickly.
The management, there's levels of management in games creation. We all know it. You know, for like Naughty Dog, you have the studio management, and then you have the people above them that keep them in order.
Yeah,
but it doesn't mean that good games can't still be made from half-baked management from the publisher side.
Well, that happens all the
As
time.
EA has proved for years.
Yes, I was just about to say. But then you've got people like Evan who gush over Arcane, and I don't know, I'm putting words in his mouth, but he's not here, so I'm going to fucking do it anyway. He would say Arcane would never. They've got the artistic integrity of their. I'm assuming he rubs his nipples whenever he talks about Arcane Studios. They would never put out a game that's less in quality than their other titles that are amazing, like Dishonored and Prey. They're two of the best and most amazing immersive sims. And he's rubbing his nipples again. But they did. And from what people are leaking out of the studios is that they knew it's a piece of shit. So if you can't trust the studios themselves to do something, you need better oversight of what the studios are doing. And where does that ultimately sit? That sits with Matthew Backside.
No. It sits with Pete Hines and then Phil Spencer. We can't give Matt Booty any of the turmoil for this game because he's only in charge of Xbox Game Studios. And Arcane is on Bethesda. No, he's only in charge of the studios.
Then it's Bethesda's management structure.
It would be Pete Hines who's
well, it's Phil Spencer for letting them do that.
Well, Pete Hines and then Phil Spencer.
Yeah. So and we know that Bethesda are fucking shocking, particularly Todd Howard, about being a magpie for various different things. It's like, ooh, shiny. I'm going to work on this amazing thing. Ooh, I've had another idea. I'm going to go off and work on this amazing thing and leave something else half baked. Fallout 76, anyone? So they've got form for it. So why would you not want to scrutinise a studio who you know you've got form for kind of leaving things half baked?
Because they believe in the IP, not necessarily all the creators behind that IP.
I still doubt heavily that they didn't know this game. Like, they absolutely knew that this game was a piece of trash, and they were probably waiting in the wings, thinking, "Yeah, this game's not going to be very good." But they just didn't realise how not good it would be and how much of a shame it was. They think they just throw this to the wind and people wouldn't care that much because it's on Game Pass.
Well, which is interesting because the critical reception has been shocking. but they've already paid for it. It's on Game Pass. Do you want to know of a worse game that is still on Game Pass? I mean, this game was garbage. I mean, actual shit.
Worse than Redfall 5.
It was worse than Redfall. And that was that piece of shit Iron Man simulator that EA put out.
Oh, Anthem.
And you can still download that off Game Pass.
I'm not sure. I think
If I
Anthem's
was,
kind of
if I was
better.
Phil Spencer, I would be saying to whoever curates the store, that game that is meant to be an online game. Get that off our fucking store. Don't let people download it, because, like Mitch was saying, it's almost as if they're more focused on the amount of games that they can put out than the quality of the games that is on there.
Been saying it for years. Microsoft always cares about
there's some gumph in there.
quantity, never quality.
Hang on, because I don't want to absolve PlayStation with some ire from me at the moment, because PlayStation was selling the story of Black Tiger, or Eye of Black Tiger, which is a Unity asset flip where you just wander around a barren open world and bite trees and stuff because the AI is so shockingly bad.
But they stopped. They unreleased Cyberpunk, but
they stopped Cyberpunk, but they allowed.
They were the only one to.
Tiger.
I don't recall if Microsoft even pulled it off their store.
No,
they didn't.
I think that was an overreaction in my opinion, but there you go.
Yeah, but so you've got Sony who are playing one side off against the other in that sense. Not that's the wrong thing to say in that, but. They overreacted on one sense and underreact on others. So they allow the crappy indie games to get pushed out, which are Unity asset flips. But
just nobody cares.
Because no one cares. Yeah, oh, you bought it for $7.99. Fuck you. Whereas on Game Pass, it's the opposite. It's free. So here you go. Here's a load of shit.
Did you remember when the PlayStation 5 came out, Keith, and that game was one of the few games that wasn't compatible with the PlayStation 5 in backwards compatibility? And ironically, one of the first games that got patched by the developer. It's just like, oh, thanks. Yeah, we really needed that patch. Thanks, buddy.
Yeah, if anyone, Mitch, if you want to go and see what kind of QA control there is on the PlayStation Store, go and search for Black Tiger. It's a Gilbert B. Pontis one. It was one of the people who tried to sue Steph Sterling over them writing shitty reviews and saying all you do is Unity asset flips. It's not available on the Xbox Store. It is available on the PlayStation Store. So both sides are deserving of some blame in this, but the reason that, don't get me started on the Nintendo.
One thing I wanted to point out, Keith, is don't forget that the only reason Anthem is on Game Pass is because it's on EA Access, and EA Access is part of Game Pass.
I know, but that's not the point I'm trying to make. If you're going to allow shit games on your platform,
I mean, I think Redfall's worse, so your point stands.
Yeah, well, one's a first-person sort of online game that's got shocking AI, and the other was meant to be an online ongoing game which can't be online nor ongoing because EA shut the servers down before the game even launched.
And they left the Christmas decorations up for almost a year.
Yeah, I'm as much as I'm confused as to what's going on with Square Enix, I'm probably equally confused as to what's going on at Microsoft. Because Square Enix seem batshit crazy. Microsoft, I'd like to think they would have a modicum of sense to know what they're doing. And the longer time goes on, the less and less confidence I have in their ability to deliver the things that they say they're going to deliver.
This is more for me, it's like, Square Enix is batshit crazy. Microsoft's incompetent.
Yes.
At least Square Enix manages to release some actually great games.
At least the batshit crazy leads to good games. Right?
Well, and NFTs and play to earn mechanics.
But the incompetency just leads to the shit.
Yeah.
Are we overreacting to one bad game?
No.
No. I don't think
there's
so.
more than one bad game.
I think we are to a certain degree, but I can't argue against it because I understand it, and I do think that people need to have this mentality of Microsoft because they'll never learn otherwise.
I think
I'm
I think
reacting to-
it's not because of it's not the one game. It's that it's the final straw. You know.
No, it's not about
Honest.
bad games, Dave. It's about the ongoing potential mismanagement of the studios underneath the Xbox umbrella. That's what I'm.
And it isn't the final straw, because if it was the final straw, we'd all say,
Phil
all
would
right,
be on his arse and
cancel our Game Pass subscriptions and just stop.
yeah, which is, I'm not cancelling my Game Pass subscription. I paid for another 6 months, which got me 5 months and a week and a couple of days, which is a total different story. But that goes towards about the mismanaging and miscommunication from Xbox. They have the opportunity for me to potentially deliver more from the Summer of Games showcases, whatever directs you want to call them. They've got the biggest opportunity to get more out of me than anyone else. They've also got the biggest opportunity to make me feel less about the company than anyone else. And on that note,